Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to do a video a little different. I'm going to do 30 things I've learned in 30 years, or 30 things that people have told me, shared with me, that I've read, that I've heard, that I've seen or experienced, but we'll just call it 30 things I've learned in 30 years. Now that I'm 30, and I'm sorry if this is a little boring, I didn't exactly know how to format it, but I wrote everything down so that hopefully my talking points will be concise and to the point. Things I've learned in 30 years. Number 1, life is about loving and learning. You can't have one without the other. There was a musician that said this in the middle of one of his sets, and it just stuck with me because I think that's really true, and I found it was very profound and simple and sweet. So yes. Number 2, humans break all bonds for a romantic love. My older sister told me this when I was making a challenging decision in my life, and I think it's very true. She didn't say it in a glorifying way. She was like, it's really ugly that we do this as human beings, but we break all bonds for a romantic love. So that's 2. 3, I'm going to preface this by saying somebody gave me this advice when I was getting out of a breakup and trying to figure out how to move on with my life because I was going through a bit of an identity crisis. And she said that changing geography is always a great plan. People say you can't run away from your problems, but they're lying to you. You can move and you can start over and all that, but you can't run away from who you are. Okay. Number 4, you should have at least 3 forms of income. My ex told me this, and I think it's really great advice. It's something I've come more and more to like try to understand. And what he meant was like, you can have one main form of income, which is your job, and then you have things that you do on the side, or things that like little ways of making money. So it could be like trading stocks and bonds, it could be renting, like having rental properties, it could be he would refurbish phones and sell them, and had stocks and then a regular job. So it could be kind of any of those things. It could be selling your art, it could be like Poshmark, doing like Poshmark selling stuff. Number 5, good guys don't get between friends. My friend Virginia told me this. Number 6, this is in the wise words of Sandra Bullock. Not everyone who's hurt you cares. I don't know. I think that's true. I think it's very liberating to think about that and be like, I don't have to carry this because they don't care. So me being super like hurt and all this about it, it doesn't do anything except for hurt me because they don't care. Number 7, reading fiction or reading in general helps us practice empathy. So reading actually makes you a better person. Number 8, this is kind of a Cheryl Strayed quote, and I should preface this and other things to come that I love Cheryl Strayed. I'm obsessed with Cheryl Strayed, and there's going to be a lot of Cheryl Strayed in here. Okay. Suffering, you can't run away from suffering, you can't therapy it away, you can't drink it away, you can't dance it away. You just have to survive it and get through it and run towards your dreams over the bridge that you built by your own desire to heal. And I think that's very good advice for healing and recovering from grief, because I think grief is huge and it's a beast, and it's not something that will ever really fully go away. It's always there. And I think with a lot of challenging things in life, a lot of healing is just moving towards what you want your life to be and who you want yourself to be. Number 9, this is kind of just something my parents always told me when I was a kid. They just said life isn't fair, so like don't expect everything to come out equally. And a book I read when I was 16 was called The Poisonwood Bible. There's a quote in there that says, life isn't a mathematical equation with you in the center and everything coming out equal. sometimes when you're good, bad things can happen, can still happen, and when you're bad, like, good things will too. And I think that's very true. Number 10, these are in the wise words of Taylor Swift. I am a diehard Swiftie, so I love this. You don't have to forgive and forget, you can just move on. I think that's very true. I think in society we're told that we need to forgive and we need to, you know, do all these things, and I think that is true for people who we care about and who love us and who care about us. But for people who have done you wrong and just kind of sucked and just used you and abused you, you don't have to forgive them and you don't have to forget. You can just decide to move on. You can decide to put your energy somewhere else and be like, I don't send them love and light, and I don't wish them like terrible things to happen, and I don't send them love and light. I just literally don't think about that anymore and just want to move on. Number 11. This is another Cheryl Strayed quote. Wanting to leave is enough. I think this one was really important and helped me a lot in a lot of decisions I've made with certain people, because sometimes we think that we have to have a reason to break up with somebody, or we have to have a reason that something ends, but sometimes just wanting to leave is the reason, and not wanting to be there anymore is the reason. And somebody can do everything right and it's just not right for you with them. Like, and I think for women we have a really hard time doing this. Like, we think something has to be wrong or whatever, or we're giving up on somebody, but I think it's really powerful to know that wanting to walk away, wanting to leave, and knowing deep down that something isn't right and something's off, and it's not because they did something terrible or you did something terrible, it's just because it just isn't what you want. Number 12. It's another Cheryl Strayed. Don't surrender all your joy for an idea you used to have about yourself that isn't true anymore. And it's true. People change and evolve, and you can be anybody you want to be. 13. My friend Rachel told me this when I was going through a hard time, and I used to have a really hard time asking people for help and support, and she gave me so much love, and I think she literally brought tears to my eyes when she said this to me. She said, humans are hardwired for connection. Needing support through tough times isn't a sign that something's wrong with you, it's a sign that something is deeply right with you. So let people be there for you. I love you, Rachel. And then number 14, nobody is a mind reader. The best way to have your needs met is to ask for what you want / need from people. My friend Alexa told me this when I was younger, and I think it's helped me a lot in my life, because I think a lot of us can kind of grow up in passive aggressive households or things where there's like awkward tension and you're frustrated, and so you just are like kind of given the silent treatment, or you give other people the silent treatment instead of just saying, hey, this is what I need, can you help me? Or being like, hey, this upset me, can you do something differently next time? And my friend was great, because she just said, like, I don't know you as well as you know you. You're the only one that knows what you need and how you need support when you need it. So if you need laughter, you need to say, I need laughter in this form, in this form, in this form. I want funny videos of animals because I'm really sad. Or if you need a hug, you can say like, hey, I could really use a hug right now. Or if you need to just like chat, or if you need just someone to listen and like let you cry, you know, just saying exactly what it is you need helps everyone. It helps your relationship with those people. Number 15. This is another Cheryl Strayed. You don't have to get a job that makes others feel comfortable about what they perceive as your success. Number 16. My friend Audrey told me this recently, and I thought it was just so like, get angry. Anger is drawing attention to something that's wrong. I think Maya Angelou says this too. Anger will let you to change things, will allow you to change things and address problems. It's actually a very useful emotion. If you don't get angry, you will just get anxious, and anxiety makes you lose control. where you're like, I don't have any control over this, I don't know what to do. So anger actually, and feeling that emotion, helps you address an issue that's wrong. So get angry. I mean, don't punch a wall. You can do other things with anger, like you can create social change and all sorts of stuff with anger. Anger is a great emotion. 17. Oh, this is about dependence and having dependence on other people and needing dependence on other people. I think in a hyper like independent society where we're like, we're independent and all this stuff, this is an important one. It says being dependent isn't a bad thing. We all need a base to feel secure in the world. So when we're a kid, our base is our parents, and when we're older, our base is usually like our partner, or like whoever we're closest to. So sometimes we have like really close friends and they're our base, and having people is important for humans to like survive. It's always been there, and it's important to have community, it's important to have a base, and being dependent on other people isn't a bad thing. Number 18. The people who love you care about how you feel. That's pretty straightforward. Number 19. If a door closes, it should remain closed. There was an old guest that came to the Dude Ranch that I used to work at, and they wrote me this letter. It's a couple, older couple, and I stayed in touch with them a little bit after, and they wrote me this letter on my 25th birthday, I think, and it really stuck with me. There were some really wise things that were said in that letter, but one of the things was that, you know, doors close for a reason and they should remain that way. And it's something that I've kind of kept in the back of my mind. Like, if you close a door, you know, like, you're closing it for a reason. Number 20. If you ask people questions about themselves, they'll like you. People love talking about themselves and love it when someone makes them feel interesting. Actually, a friend told me this when I don't remember her name, but when I was 16, I worked in the backcountry of Idaho, in the Piatt National Forest. It's called the Wilderness of No Return, or the River of No Return, or something like that. And we did this trail, I did this trail crew with this group of people that were also my age, and a couple older people who were running it. And one of them told me that, and I've always remembered it, that I think that's very true. People want to feel interesting and exciting, so if you make them feel that way, they will like most likely like you. 21. I kind of want to say this is a Kendall quote because I feel like I've discovered this on my own, and yeah, but it's eye contact builds intimacy. I think this is true. I think eye contact is so important. I think to look your friends like in the eye and have meaningful eye contact with your family or whoever. I think if you're like in a relationship or whatever kind of ship, like staring at somebody can literally make somebody fall in love with you. I think. I might be a little biased, but I kind of think that. 22. Most fights at their core are about feeling seen and heard. This is a quote from Esther Perel, who people probably know. But yeah, it pretty much is just like when I think it's good to remember this when you do have a fight with somebody, that when somebody's upset and or if they're defensive or whatever, or if they're offensive, they're usually looking for love, like looking for some kind of love, because they just want to feel seen and heard. Because if you remember that that's what fights are about, and you just have to like be gentle with each other. 23. Happiness is a perfectly good reason to run. It doesn't have to be about a race or pace. So when I was younger and I first started running, all of the running I did was about a race or a pace, and it made me hate running and feel very incompetent and not trust my body and be really insecure. And I think now that I think of it more, is like, this is really good for my eating habits and for my like mental health. I love it, and I run for those reasons, and I don't have to run super fast. The fact that I'm running is a win in and of itself. 24, and this is something my friend told me, because sometimes I have very negative self-talk or belief. I always used to think I have terrible luck and just everything bad will happen to me. If anything bad could happen, it will. And my friend Audrey told me recently, what if instead of telling yourself, I don't get what I want, you told yourself, I do get what I want. And she gave me this book about like the laws of attraction and stuff like that, quantum physics laws. And it really helped me realize that the energy we put out into the universe is important. I guess it's kind of woo-woo, but I think it is important. And believing in like good things happening is a better chance for them to come true than believing that bad things will. It's kind of like, I think Brene Brown says something about this too, that it's disrupting joy, because you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Which I've always been like, if something's going good, I'm like, something bad's gonna happen. And I don't think that's very healthy, because sometimes it creates that tapping. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a negative way. .25. Grief doesn't shrink, we grow around it. I think this one is a big one, because I just feel for people who are grieving or going through things. I think grief is a beast. It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever gone through, harder than depression and anxiety. I think grief is just so monstrous and huge, and it's so overwhelming, and it doesn't shrink, it doesn't go away. I think we just learn how to carry it better. 26. This is another one that my friend Rachel told me, and she was quoting Brene Brown. It says, shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. So actually telling your stories and telling the things that are embarrassing or shameful to you, or things that you said or did that you're really ashamed of and you don't feel good about, that helps the shame like go away. And shame is not good for our system, I don't think, or for anyone. It doesn't do anything beneficial. So tell your stories to people you love and who are gonna just listen and hold space for you and not tell you how you should feel or what it should be or anything, who are just gonna listen and be a safe space for you and safe sounding board for you to kind of share. And I think finding the people who can do that with you is such a great gift for life. It will make your life so much better and so much richer. 27. My friend Virginia told me this, because sometimes I can be a little, I don't know, self-pitying sometimes about stuff, but she said, you are your own advocate. If you want something to change, you can change it. You are the person who is going to change it. If you need something different, you are the one who has to speak up about it. 28. This is something I think I've just heard recently, and it kind of blew my mind. So my friend Rohil, I was talking to him the other day, and he told me that he was reading this book, and in it said that love is built, not found. And a lot of people who have like shorter term relationships or like things that don't work out, it's because they go into that with that mindset, that it's found instead of built. And people who have long-term relationships usually come to the conclusion, at least, that it's built. And I think I was always somebody who was like, love's found, you're just gonna find something that's so special and electric and everything and just the perfect fantasy. And I think in some ways that's problematic. And I think actually believing that you have some control over how a relationship could go, and that you get to make it whatever you want it to be with somebody else, and that's so much more special and so much more romantic, actually. So 29. This is a quote from Helena Bonham Carter. And I love it. I think when I started living like this, my life got a million times better. I would also say a little bit, this is a quote from my younger sister. She kind of lives like this too. It says, everything is art. How you dress, the way that you talk, the way that you write, everything. I think once you start thinking about that, it's like you're your own best masterpiece. So create something really special that you're proud of. Yeah. "30. This is a Jane Fonda. I think it's Jane Fonda that said this recently. I think she's, yeah. But female friendships are important to our health because we actually have like genuine relationships with women, and it's one of the reasons that women, she thinks it's one of the reasons that women live longer in general than men, and I agree. Yeah. Extra one is, my sister told me this, that women who say they aren't really friends with women is a red flag, because that means that they're used to relationships where they don't have to give a lot. Because I think when women are friends with men, you don't always have the same level of yeah, I think like mental and emotional intimacy. Not always the case, but like a lot of times. So if women are friends with men, they usually get a lot of attention, but they don't have to offer a lot of support, because men don't usually ask for as much support, or don't always ask for as much support when they're friends. Whereas women who are friends with other women know how to like give and take, so there's more of an equilibrium there. So women not wanting to be friends with other, or women saying they don't have, they're usually not friends with women, or they usually just hang out with guys. That is a red flag in a friend, because they're telling you that they don't know how to show up equally for you, in a way. That makes sense. This is what my sister said, and I've come over the years to kind of agree with it. I used to be like, no, because I have friends who have lots of guy friends and are definitely more of a guy's girl. But I do think that she's right. I think that women who have usually strong female friendships are amazing friends. Like, they will show up so much for each other, and it's a different type of friendship and relationship you are going to have. So that's 30 things I've learned in 30 years. Some of them are kind of cheesy quotes, but I like cheesy quotes. And then some of them are just from people that some wise friends and family members that I know. So, thank you for watching.